Welcome. Today, we're setting off on an incredible journey through time, exploring how architecture has transformed over the centuries. From ancient wonders to modern marvels, buildings have always been more than just walls and roofs. They tell stories about who we are, what we value, and how we live. Let's start by going way back, thousands of years ago, to the pyramids of Giza. These massive stone structures weren't just tombs for pharaohs. They were statements of power, ingenuity, and spiritual belief. How did people manage to create something so enormous without modern tools? That's the brilliance of ancient architecture. The people back then used their knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and sheer willpower to build structures that still leave us in awe today. Moving forward in time, we arrive in ancient Greece, where architecture took on a new meaning. The Parthenon is perhaps one of the most recognizable examples of classical architecture. It wasn't just about building to last, but about capturing beauty and balance. Greek architects studied proportion and symmetry, believing that buildings could represent harmony, a mirror of both the natural world and the human body. Their innovations in columns, capitals, and pediments laid the groundwork for architectural styles that continue to influence design today. But architecture wasn't just about aesthetics, it was also about function. As the Roman Empire expanded, it brought with it a new kind of architecture focused on utility and engineering. The Romans were master builders, developing techniques like the arch and the dome. Structures like the Colosseum and the Pantheon were monumental, not just for their scale, but for how they addressed the needs of society, from public entertainment to worship. Roman aqueducts and roads were also feats of engineering, designed to last for centuries, some even millennia. As we move into the medieval period, architecture becomes heavily influenced by religion. Think of towering cathedrals with their intricate stained glass and pointed arches, designed to inspire awe and bring people closer to the divine. Gothic architecture was about height, light, and storytelling. Cathedrals like Notre Dame in Paris weren't just places of worship. They were designed to make people feel the grandeur of God, lifting their gaze to the heavens. Fast forward to the Renaissance, and architecture takes another turn. Artists, scientists, and architects began to rediscover classical ideas from ancient Greece and Rome, but they combined them with new perspectives. Renaissance architects like Brunelleschi, who designed the dome of Florence Cathedral, used mathematical precision and perspective to create buildings that were both beautiful and scientifically advanced. It was an era where art and architecture were closely linked, and the emphasis was on humanism, balance, and proportion. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Suddenly, architecture had to respond to entirely new challenges. Cities were growing rapidly, and new materials like steel and concrete allowed for taller buildings and more efficient designs. This period gave birth to skyscrapers, bridges, and train stations, large, complex structures that reflected the energy and ambition of the modern world. The Eiffel Tower, for example, was initially criticized for its radical design, but it soon became an icon of architectural innovation. As we move into the 20th century, architecture becomes a way to break from tradition entirely. Modernism, led by architects like Le Corbusier and Frank Lloyd Wright, emphasized simplicity, function, and the use of new materials like glass and steel. These architects believed that form should follow function, and that buildings should be designed for the way people live. You see this in Wright's Falling Water, which blends seamlessly into its natural surroundings, or in the clean lines and open spaces of modernist buildings. Today, architecture is more diverse and dynamic than ever before. We see bold, futuristic designs that push the limits of technology, like the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the tallest building in the world. Sustainable architecture is also on the rise, with buildings designed to be energy efficient, eco-friendly, and adaptable to changing environments. Architects are now using 3D printing, AI, and robotics to create structures that are not only beautiful, but smart and sustainable. Architecture has always been about more than just buildings. It's about responding to the needs of society, using the tools and technologies available, and imagining what the future might hold. Whether it's the monumental pyramids of ancient Egypt or the sleek skyscrapers of today, architecture continues to shape the world we live in, inspiring us, challenging us, and reminding us of what we can achieve when creativity and innovation come together. Before we wrap up, let's think more deeply about what architecture represents in our world today. As we've seen, architecture is much more than just a backdrop to history. It's a living, breathing expression of human creativity and resilience. It tells us about the societies that built these structures, their values, their challenges, and their dreams. Take the modern skyscraper, for example. It's not just a marvel of engineering, but a symbol of human ambition. These towering structures rise out of dense urban landscapes, reflecting the need for more space in crowded cities while reaching for the sky, almost as if to challenge the limits of what's possible. They're a testament to our capacity to innovate and adapt. But architecture today is also deeply intertwined with our environmental concerns. As climate change becomes an increasingly pressing issue, architects are rethinking the way we design buildings. Green roofs, solar panels, energy-efficient materials, and water-saving systems are all becoming standard in many new developments. We're seeing the rise of net-zero buildings that generate as much energy as they consume, contributing to a sustainable future. These new priorities highlight how architecture continues to evolve in response to the challenges of the present day. Think about it. Today's architects are not just designing for us, but for future generations. The buildings of tomorrow will need to be even smarter, greener, and more flexible than anything we've seen before. And with new technologies like AI, 3D printing, and robotics, we're already seeing a future where entire buildings could be created with minimal human labor, precision engineered for sustainability and comfort. But despite all these changes, one thing remains constant: the connection between architecture and the human spirit. Whether it's an ancient temple, a Renaissance palace, or a modern eco-friendly home, architecture will always serve as a bridge between our inner worlds and the spaces we create to live, work, and dream in. So, the next time you stand in front of a building, whether it's a humble cottage or a gleaming tower, I invite you to look beyond the bricks and steel. Think about the generations that came before, those who toiled to lay the foundations of human creativity. Think about the ideas, the innovations, and the evolving needs of society that have shaped our surroundings. And remember that the story of architecture is far from over. Each new building, each new idea, is part of an ongoing conversation between the past, the present, and the future. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the evolution of architecture. May we all continue to be inspired by the spaces we inhabit and the endless possibilities that lie ahead.